This is Byron Matto. He's running for council this year. Why is Cafe Kneem an important place for you, Byron?
Well, when we first moved here in 2012, we lived at the bottom of Langdon Street, in the corner of Langdon and McDonough. And it was, we had moved up from New York, and it was a great neighborhood, very diverse neighborhood, very eclectic neighborhood, a lot of activity, and it was, really enjoyed it. And Killam was our first neighborhood cafe, and we would come with my son, who was 2 at the time, and he would walk up, and the baristas got to know him. We had a good community, and so I think I like this spot because it's where we first came when we moved here. And then the following year in 2013, we bought our house just down Islington on Fields Road, behind Hannaford. And when I think about that, and I think about the first time someone buys a house, which we were doing at the time, it was a very sort of anxiety-filled moment. It's complex for a lot of reasons, daunting for a young family. And then I think about what it'd be like today if we were trying to buy a house, and frankly, I don't think we'd be buying in Portsmouth because of the way the market is. And so that's something that I think about for myself, and I think about for folks in my generation. I mean, the reasons for the current market are obviously complex and they're layered. I think it's easy to look at COVID and think about folks moving out of larger cities and towards smaller cities and towns as one of the reasons for the drive in that market. But I think that does a disservice to more foundational issues. Since the 1950s, there's been progressively less and less housing starts, decade by decade. And I think it's no surprise that a lot of the, quote, starter homes that young families like us were able to buy were 1950s ranches and 1950s capes. So when we think about building new housing today, while yes, to some degree it affects the current market, I think we all should be forward thinking about it and future looking, and understanding that it's providing opportunity for those our children and our grandchildren when they're going to be looking for those starter homes. That's one piece of the housing puzzle. I also think that it is true that given the demand, given the land use restraints in the seacoast, that ultimately we probably couldn't just build enough housing to solve the housing market. And so we need to understand the different tools that we have available to alleviate some of the acute housing pain that exists today. And that means working with the PHA, with city-owned land, or purchasing new land, or working with the PHA to build and manage affordable housing projects, workforce housing. None of these things are solutions in and of themselves, but they are tools to the problem, to fixing the problem or mitigating the problem of housing affordability. And I think more core than that even is that we need leaders that are looking for those solutions. I don't think it's fair to throw up our hands and say, well, we can't solve this problem and the solutions that we have today aren't good enough. I think we need leaders who are open-minded and willing to hear new ideas on ways to mitigate the housing crisis. Because I think it's acute, and I think it's existential to the city, so it's very important to me.
Thanks, Byron.
Thank you.